What are we looking into? Welcome to the Finance and Performance Committee meeting for the 29th of February, late day this year. For the Deputy Mayor, they Wilson, please read the prayer.
Thank you, Chair. Happy to. Almighty God, as members of Rangitikei District Council, we give thanks for all the good things of our district and the advantages we enjoy. We pray that you will give us wisdom and guidance as we conduct the affairs of this meeting. We pray for all the communities and the district we represent. Help us to be fair and honest in our discussions and help us to work together in unity for the welfare of all your people. Amen.
Thank you. Yep. Yes. I'm calling for apologies. I've received apologies from Councillor Morn and Leanne Purity. Are there any other apologies? I move that they accept the and me Andy. Sorry, thank you. And me Andy. I move that they be accepted. Can I second it, please? Councillor Carter. All in favour?
Aye.
Carried. At this moment, we have received no form. Is that correct? And conflict of interest declarations. If anybody has any conflict of interest declarations, please declare them either now or at the time of the subject brought up. Confirmation of order of business. I believe that it is as it is on the papers. Confirmation of minutes. The minutes have been circulated and have been available to be read by everyone public.
Go through them for all the questions.
Oh, am I going through them? Okay, so I'll go through the minutes. If there's any points that anyone wants to go through. So,
Starting on page.
Coming up page 6. So page 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah.
Yes.
Can we move that they be a true and correct record, Chair?
Thank you.
Second.
And second, all in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Carried. Follow up from previous follow-up actions from previous. Who takes me through this?
I'm happy to. That's just a list of actions there and there's some commentary against each of them. But we're happy to answer any further questions on progress with some of these if there's any.
Does anyone have any questions on page?
Page 12.
On page 12? We need to.
Councillor Delvitti's got a hand.
Oh, Councillor Dalgety.
You're on mute.
Sorry, just with regards to the item 6 and the huntable urban water rate rise, I couldn't find that on our website. I'm just wondering if, you know, when we're saying it's on the website, the link could be be provided there. I searched huntable urban water and I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, there was a news update on the front page before Christmas from memory. But yeah, we can circulate that link. Yeah.
Yeah, because when the news drops off, I couldn't find where that goes.
Yeah. Thank you. Should come up on those items. No more items? Carry it in.
Yes, you do. Screen there.
Recommendation that the report follow-up actions items from finance performance meeting to be received. Have a mover for that? Thank you, councillor Carter. Second, thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Chair's report. I just have a verbal report from the chairman, councillor Dalgety, who unfortunately isn't here today. She has expressed concern for the revaluation of rural properties in the northern ward of the district. And very high prices were paid for some of these properties. And now with the increase in rates, it seems to be out of proportion of what the economic earnings of these properties are. One remedy would have been for them to have objected to the revaluation, but that time has expired. She has no immediate solution for this, but just a point to note that the economy that they did have they have launched themselves into an unknown economy, and things go up and things go down. If any question on that, Councillor Dalgety will probably take it when she's back. Something a comment? Yeah. Please.
Could I make comment through you, Chair?
Sure.
And I hear and understand and sympathise with Councillor Dalgety, our finance chair's comments. And but just with particularly relating to rural properties in North, sadly, it is it's a game of percentages, and it affects a large number of properties right across the district. Whilst the rural properties may seem to be disproportionate, there are a number of just even urban properties that are suffering from a similar situation. So I think it's broader across the district rather than just identifying a particular section. But I think it does reflect across. Her comments and concerns actually reflect across the whole spectrum of our rating base. So just like to raise that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Would the Councillor Dalgety wish to comment on this? No? Okay, thank you. Do I move this?
Yes.
I Chair's report, February 2024 be received, moved by me. Seconded. Thank you, Councillor. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. We're on to item 9.1, page 14. Does Mr. Toombs will take us through this, please?
Thank you. Largely take the report as read. Just a quick summary. That's 7 months of the year are now reported in the financial summary. The operating income and expenses report shows a few budget variances, which you'd expect, but there's nothing in there that's really significantly alarming. Happy to take questions.
Is there anything in there that's close to alarming?
I don't think so, no. I'd take this every year after 7 months, to be honest with you, yeah. Especially leading into the long-term plan, it's good to see that our operating budget's fairly close to what we're currently doing. So there's a level of assurance to be gained from that.
Councillor Dalgety?
I'm just querying page 21, the timing difference of the better off funding for the district plan acceleration, not yet received that money. I'm wondering when we expect to receive that, please.
Yeah, my understanding is that we got 10% of the Better Off programme up front, and then we will receive subsequent tranches when we start spending the money. And we're not progressing the projects quickly enough for the next tranche to be received. So if we don't receive the money this financial year, it'll be received next financial year. We got till 2027 from memory to complete these programmes.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Just further to that, you made mention that we're not progressing the programs that we applied for the better funding quick enough. Is there a risk there? Have we got to focus on that?
I'm not directly involved with any of it. I don't believe so. I believe the budgets were all scheduled for budget purposes into this financial year. With hindsight, we may have staggered them, may have been more prudent to stagger them over 2 years.
Supplement to that, I just wonder if there's anything within us accepting those chances that clawback may apply if we don't deliver, and if that's the case, who's over that to make sure we don't potentially miss something here and put us in a situation where we've committed to something that the funds may not apply to. Just making sure we've got some assurity around that.
Mrs. Gordon.
Yes, I'd just like to make a comment. The district plan acceleration is actually underway. That's the work that Tiffany Gow is doing. But Galen could make a comment about whether any of it's clawed back.
I know if we have any changes to the program, if we feel we're getting a bit behind, we do regular updates and that's all gets approved. So Michael Hodder prepares those reports for us.
Thank you.
I think through you, Mr. Chairman, it is a risk because some of them, like is the Hautapu River bridges under that one as well?
Yes.
So there's some that we are trying to progress as fast as we can because we are aware there could be a risk from some of that clawback. And when you see what's happening in some of the other government departments, it's 100% true. But some of those projects, as you can imagine, are unable to be sped up.
Yeah, I guess through your chair, if I may, and you just referenced what's happening in the broader scale of central government with some of their spending projects, and you know, my feel is they're looking to crawl back everything they can to offset. We may only be dealing quite small numbers in comparison to some of the national government's programs, but just
In answer to that, perhaps we could have a look. But I understand that most of it is committed, so even those ones up there are committed. So we're into a process. So I don't think there's any uncommitted. So the work is all commenced. So it'd be hard pressed for them to claw all of those under the Better Off funding there.
okay, thank you. But happy with those responses.
Councillor Loudon.
Through you, Chair, is there any indication as to after 7 months where we might land at the end of the financial year? And do you think that's sort of better or worse than where we thought we might land?
Can I answer that with the question? Are you talking in operating surplus or cash position? There's a lot of moving parts to that question.
Yeah.
If you look at, so what I might do is to page 16 of the agenda papers, far right-hand column has got our operating full year budget. And it shows, no, it doesn't, that's full year variance. So the top half of that table's not right. Okay, I might just refer you back actually to my cover report. Income and expenses will be fairly close. The major variance will be in depreciation. We know we're going to be over budget in depreciation, and that's been fixed up in the long-term plan. The next paper on today's agenda shows our cash position and debt position. They'll be under budget. The debt will be under budget at 30th of June, but that's not necessarily a good thing because it means some of our capital stuff's sliding into next year. Overall, I don't see anything in this financial year that's going to lead to an increase in our long-term budgeted debt position. And nothing in this 7 months suggests that we're going into the long-term plan budgets within appropriate budgets.
Any other comments on this report? I move that the financial snapshot January 2024 be received. Second, please. Thank you, Councillor Carter. All in favour? Yes, carried. Treasury and debt. Page 26.
Thank you. I referred to this in the last paper. Well, may I talk?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I referred to this in the last agenda item. It's a standing paper that we bring to see whether our forecast financial year end debt positions can be worse than budgeted, and it won't be subject to any capex that we can bring forward from future years, and then maybe one or two of them on the horizon. But in the absence of any new programs that we're bringing forward, I predict that our debt position will be lower than budgeted at 30th of June. So from a pure treasury point of view, financially we'll be in a more stable position temporarily because you'd hope the capex will catch up and then flow through. So the purpose of this paper was to see not as at today, if we're sitting comfortably, but where we expect to be at 30th of June. And we should be ticking all the boxes in terms of debt benchmarks at 30th of June. But again, just to emphasise, that's because some of our capital budgets haven't been spent.
Councillor Loudon.
Does that mean that we're actually falling behind on our program, and would that catch up with us at some stage?
There's not so much falling behind. Some of them take longer to put in place than we budgeted for. Historically, we budgeted, like a lot of councils, in a quite optimistic way. What we've done recently in the last couple of years is we've made a conscious decision to be more conservative with the budgets and note in our finance strategy that if we can bring forward the budgets, we will.
Thank you, Mr. James. Any more comments from that? That I'll leave it the.
One, if I may, sorry, Chair, I was looking at this last night and it does relate to you, the comment about the debt. I'm just looking at the maturity dates of a reasonable large portion of them, and when they all fall fairly closely within themselves. Going forward into our long-term plan and that debt, does that pose any risks there with that amount of debt falling within as close as it does? You've got two parcels falling in 28, but you've got that quite a large one falling due only a year beforehand.
Yeah, I note in section 5.3 of the report, we're going to stagger future debt parcels so they're not around them dates.
Is there flexibility to, I mean, do we just monitor those, or are those maturity dates fixed? Is there flexibility within that to be?
I could refinance them and there'll be a cost to that.
It's just 3 years too. Do we do swaps?
No.
So that's a hedging tool that could be used. I'm not sure whether.
Yeah, my apologies, Chair, but whether or not there was any advantages to just having a little bit of an eye on that to see if there's any advantages to us somewhere along the line, given that the value of those parcels of debt falling within that space.
Councillor Loudon.
With those debt parcels on maturity, I imagine they would get paid back, but the indications are that they don't get paid back, they get redrawn down. Does that sort of, might that affect our position?
Yeah, totally. So take the middle debt, the 11 million, that's going to mature in 3 years' time, give or take. Now that 4.17 we're currently paying on that, it could be 3.8, it could be 5.2. Future interest rates, we don't know. Signs are that they're pretty close to peaking where they currently are, but that could change obviously with unknown events.
I'm quietly optimistic that you're correct. But yeah, I think staggering them at some stage would be particularly wise.
Yeah.
Do we have any comments on this? I'll move that the debt report 2023-24 be received. Seconder. Thank you. Mayor. All in favour?
Aye.
Yes.
Carried. QV report page 30, Mr. James.
Thank you. Yeah, standard report that we provide each month, showing QV-based information and data, really presented for committee members' information. Happy to take any questions to see if I can answer them offline.
Councillor Dalgety.
Page 32. I was interested, why do we think there's no building consents for November?
I'll have to ask.
Thank you.
More questions on this report? Move that the QV report be received. No, no, no. Second, thank you. That's brilliant. All in favour? Against? Carried. On to the LGFA getting confirmation. Is that you against the teams?
It is, yeah, thank you. This is a report we bring every 6 months at the committee's request. Just out the LGFA quarterly report to shareholders. I noted in my cover report, from my flick through of this, I thought quite interesting on page 42 of the agenda. The last 3 quarters, the spike in council borrowings from LGFAs. Because there's a lot happening out there in our world.
Any comments on this? Yes.
The terms of reference of LGFA, which we made an active decision to be a shareholder in and to borrow our funds from, but we took a proportionate risk of any overall debt from that. Has there been any strategic shifts in that? And there's the fact that we've now got this large amount of council borrowings that you've just referenced. Do we keep abreast of what our potential risk may be if there's a fall over? Because as a shareholding member and a guaranteeing member, we carry a proportion of that risk. Is that factored in?
Yeah, yes.
Difficult one, I know.
I don't know if you recall, this was discussed at our last Risk and Assurance Committee meeting, and the discussion ended up saying it's a theoretical risk as opposed to a real risk. We'd be so far down the list of targets if council was to go. And LGFA has got their own balance sheet, which has got significant funds on it, and the government would step in as well before other councils were pursued.
Let's have a check.
Yes, yeah, thank you. That's raising it.
Thank you. Any more concerns, questions about this report? No, I move that the LGFA general information be received. Second, Councillor Carter, thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. 9.5 quarterly property sales, page 50.
Thank you. Again, provided for information, quarterly property sales within the district, data that's extracted from our system. And we do note that some of the statistics that this provides can be slightly misleading because, as noted in section 2.2, there's often reason for variances that aren't necessarily obvious. Provided for general information.
Any questions on this report?
Just a comment, I think the report clearly reflects what's happening out there in the real world. If you're out and about in the real world, I think it tells us exactly that.
No further comments? Questions? I move that the quarterly property sales report be received. Seconder? Councillor Marton? Thank you. Against? Carried. And the statement of service provision, July to December, page 54.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to introduce, so you get a change from Dave with this paper. So, so Jenna, this is the first time she's presenting this report to this committee, so pass on to you.
Cool. So I'll take it largely as read, but I'll provide a bit of a summary of the report. So this is to report on our performance measures to track our progress towards meeting our end of year targets that's set out in the LTP. We've got 5 reporting categories, of which 24 of these performance measures have been achieved, 6 on track to achieve by the end of the year. We've got 6 not on track to achieve by the end of the year, currently 19 not achieved, and there are 14 that we haven't measured. These ones are either mandatory measures that we don't actually provide the service for, or the ones that we'll measure later on in the year, you'll have in the end of year report. So a couple of highlights I pointed out in the report is that we're continuing to do really well in our library outreach activities area, where we're providing well over and above the number of events that we try to do each month. Also, another one that we're performing particularly well overall in is the wastewater and sewage attending customer call outs. But we do have a few areas of improvements that are also noted in the report, which I'm sure will work towards for the end of the year. I do just note there was one mistake in the report where within the roading group of activities, the no fatal crashes on council roading network was reported as not on track, but that one is actually on track to achieve. You'll see that we have 0 so far this year.
Thank you. Any questions from councillors? Yes. Oh, councillor Dalgety. Thank you.
So basically we're achieving about half. Where does that sit compared to historically, or are we pleased about that, or can you comment in that light?
So this is currently the report for the first 6 months of the year. I will bring this report back to in about 3 months for the 9 monthly report. And we do have opportunities where there are some easy areas to improve.
I suppose in answer to your question, it's probably a similar report you would have received 12 months ago. Normally at this time, these results will be very similar. Unless there's been some outlying reason with a water or roading issue. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. That's what I was wanting to know.
I do think as a general comment though, correct me if I'm wrong here, is that the staffing situation has improved because we've filled some of those places, in terms of reporting. So technically, or in terms of improvement, having those filled will mean some more of these should be achieved going forward anyway. I do think we're in a bit of a stronger position or less position of carrying vacancies, which is in a strong position to attain these.
Thank you, councillor Outdoor.
Just a couple of comments, just in the highlights, the library highlight is reflected in the happy or not sort of comments that are coming through further down in the reporting. So that's obviously going very well. But having this sort of report now at this stage gives council an idea of where things need to improve and how they could improve. So I think it's very helpful. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Chair, and agreeing with Councillor Loudon's comments here, but I guess the thing is when you look at a report like this, it means we're tracking how we're going, but what's really important is what are we doing in behind it to make the necessary improvements. Noting, of course, that it's not practical to believe we're going to get 100% every time, because that's just not the reality of the world that we live in. The Chief Executive has mentioned some improving in staff ability to measure and to make these improvements. But as long as those improvements are being tracked down the line, so it's what underlies this report to make the improvement necessary. I think it's really, really important. And as long as we've got abreast of that through our line managers and links to see that, then that's probably what we need to see going further back or next time.
I can just make a comment on that. So we've improved our processes immensely so that we can actually produce this report at the click of a button whenever we want to. So we're actually producing this now for ELT and SLT to look at on a monthly basis. So we start picking up any issues prior to you getting the end of year report. So there's much more sanitary check on it right throughout the year. And we've managed to do that in-house now, which is great. Whereas before it was a very manual process. We have automated it and used especially our RFS system to produce better results at the click of a button, like I say, so we can actually monitor it quickly and much more thoroughly, and it will come through to ELT on a monthly basis.
Pleasing to hear.
Question, how do you set your targets? Are they based on a council initiative that we want to get to this point, or are they based on a local government sort of directive as you should be at this point, or how do you set your targets?
I can answer that. So there's two things. We have mandatory targets, of which a lot of those sit in Arno's area. So they're set by government and Department of Internal Affairs. The other ones you set. So as we're doing our long-term plan, you look at our performance measures through the draft long-term plan process, and we make any changes and proposals to you through that process. Not normally through an annual plan unless things drastically change, but definitely a long-term plan.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions on this report? Thank you, Ms. Alves.
If you move the report.
I move the report. Report statement of service provision July to December 2023 was received. We can thank you, Councillor Alden. All in favour? Aye. Yes, carried. Public feedback performance.
So happy to briefly talk about this, and Gaileen's here as well, because a lot of these are in her area. So just happy to take the report as read unless Gaileen's got anything for us to highlight. No, we noticed there's lots of commentary about toilets, so yeah, it's very pleasing.
Yeah, we are getting a lot more feedback now with the QR codes, so that's really great that people are using that.
Any question? Deputy Mayor.
Just to make comment that it's really good to see the number of responses we're actually getting in the feedback, and let there be more.
Yeah.
Because the more responses and feedback we can, it gives us the ability to actually get a bigger breast over what's going on, which actually feeds back into the comments earlier from Councillor Loudon about how do we set the objectives. If we know what the issues are, we can set the objectives and react to it. So, and if your comment about your ability to be able to do that a little bit more faster means we can react. So I think the key here is to keep encouraging this feedback and to get as much as we can as possible, so we can get a greater view. I think that's good, and also endorsing and supporting not only your QR code type system, but we just need to make sure that it's easy for people to engage, and also to reinforce the need for us to have our RFS system used, so that we can feed all that into actions that we can take. It's good.
I think just to build on that, I mean, you know, we're consistently getting high numbers through the Happy or Not system as well, and you would have wondered whether that would have started to drop off, but it doesn't. So people are still very happy to engage with us on our user system, which is fantastic. And also having the QR codes at the location of a service is vital. So Gaileen's team can respond quickly if there are issues, especially in parks or reserves or toilets.
And also just further to accept the good with the bad.
Yes.
You know, and be open to accept that bad as well, so that we can also react to that equally as well as we can to the good. We need to be able to react to the bad as well.
Thank you. Councillor Loudon.
I'll just comment, it's nice to see the library services working very well, particularly in the holiday space for kids. It's great, and it just heartens our thinking around supporting the new library in Marton, and investing in that facility. So I think it's a space that council needs to be involved with quite strongly.
Councillor. I'd like to note that there's been a lot of positive comments about our toilets, which is quite important on our main highways, and a desire for warmer toilet seats, which I think we seems to be a subject that's brought up occasionally, which we should take into account at the appropriate stage when we plan to do things like that. But it's really good to see positive comments about that, as Councillor Wilson has commented. Is there any other comments from the councillors? I know that the public feedback performance report December 2023 to January 2024 were received. Second of that, thank you, Councillor Carter. All in favour? Against? Carried. End of the meeting. I thank you for your attention. attendance. The meeting is now closed.
Thank you, Chair.